Alright, what's up guys? My name is Cherno. Welcome back to another Cherno live stream. We're back at it again on the 4th of June. Can't believe it's June already. So we have a goal actually for this month. I streamed last night as well, but and it was still June, but I'm almost treating this as like the first stream of June for some reason. But I have a goal for the end of this month, and that is that I want to finish this like renderer project by the end of the month. So we have like a month-ish. I mean, it's not a month of actual work. That would be amazing. But it's quite a lot of streams worth of work. So I'm hoping we can get it done. For those of you who weren't at last night's stream, basically where we're at the moment is I decided over the weekend that like a good next step would be for us to actually, since we're getting ImGui to work with the new renderer, and that was basically kind of working, but there were still some quirks, I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to basically update to the latest ImGui. Now we use kind of like a custom fork of ImGui that has some modifications and some other work, some other features like merged in. So it's not as easy, and also the fact that the version of ImGui that we were using was about 2.5 years old, I think, meant, well, at least that old, meant that it wasn't that trivial to just get the latest version, because first of all we need to make sure that we remerge and make sure our modifications still work where necessary, and most of them are features, not like fixes. And then the other problem was that ImGui's own API has changed quite a bit in 2.5 years. Well, I'm not gonna say quite a bit, but like there are some functions that don't exist anymore, and some things like have changed, and we relied on that. So basically last stream was all about that, and we did it. We did it all within one stream, basically. We reforked ImGui, we added in all of like our stuff that was still relevant. We added in like, you know, the spring stack, horizontal stack layout, whatever that we needed to as well, and obviously got it to build with premake, and we are now on latest docking branch ImGui inside Hazel, and it mostly works. And then obviously all the API, all the broken API stuff, the API breaking changes we had to fix as well. So we've done all that. That was last stream, which was great. But now we're basically at a point where it works, like it runs, Hazel runs with ImGui, but there's still one weird quirk where one of the panels does not move properly. So we need to fix that. And then the other issue is that the new debugging tools in ImGui are pointing out that we're doing some things wrong with our, like basically our hierarchy panels. So we've got a scene hierarchy panel, which has all the entities in the scene, which is like a tree node kind of list. And then we also have a very similar like structure for the content browser panel because it's got a directory hierarchy. So basically those two things are like broken. Well, they still seem to work fine, but ImGui is telling us that we're doing it wrong because now they have some like new visual debugging thing that basically points out that you've made an error, which is kind of cool because that did not exist back in the version that we were using. So that's where we're at, just a little catch up. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and we can get into hopefully fixing that today. So it's pretty exciting because again, we are at a point now where we've updated ImGui to latest, which is a big deal. And obviously the fact that it works in the first place is great. So basically this is what's going on, right? So we have this, and we had a very funny situation last stream as well where basically our graphics drivers were just completely broken. And it was basically, if I would, using ImGui's own example, so not even Hazel, but like just the lightweight ImGui examples, if we tried to drag windows out and like resize them or something, using Vulkan specifically, it seemed to just like, it froze my computer 3 times and I had to restart it. So it just locks up the computer completely. And also it flashed whenever panels were dragged back in. So if you took like a panel, oh, I can't press on this anymore, which is annoying. If we take like this properties panel, we, let me show you this way. With this properties panel, I drag it out and then I drag it back in. When I let go of it going back in, it would like flash for a frame, like just the panel. And that was weird because that didn't used to happen. And then mostly because of the locking up the computer, I updated the GPU drivers to, we're actually on a studio driver, NVIDIA studio driver for 4080 Super. So we updated to a game ready driver and also the latest version because that studio driver was a little bit behind, and that fixed the freezing and the flashing. So yeah, we were on some dodgy drivers, which didn't help. So the first hour of that stream was just that. So anyway, now you guys are caught up. That's basically what we did last stream. So yeah, now we're at a point where stuff basically works, but we still have this issue where you can see now we have a message from Dear ImGui, which we didn't used to have before because this is a new debugging thing that they've done, which is pretty cool. So it says, as a programmer error, we got 2 visible items with a conflicting ID. So pretty simple stuff in terms of like, superficially it's pretty simple. In terms of diving into the code and fixing it, which we tried to do last stream, it's not that simple because there's a lot going on. And also I have to refamiliarize myself with how these panels are built since it's been years since I looked at them. But basically, yeah, we have two visible items with conflicting ID. I don't really know why, like when I hover over this specifically is when it tells me this. So I'm going to investigate exactly how this error message probably works. But it's interesting that it's specifically when I hover over this. I'm not sure if that red box, because the red box first of all is a bit weird. Like it looks like there's multiple. Either there's multiple or it's like, you see how it's getting like fatter? It's weird. So I'm not sure if it's trying to draw multiple boxes on top of each other to indicate like these are the multiple items, because that would obviously help. I don't know if one of them's like the row and then there's also like a cell or something. I don't know. But basically, as far as I understand, there are in fact 2 items. But I could probably try hiding the background item. There's one item kind of, no, well there's 2. Anyway, the point is, it seems that they need to have the same ID in order for them to link up correctly, but this is getting upset at that. So that's basically where we left off. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on, is the point. If we go to the scene hierarchy panel, then it's in the draw entity node function. I think we can just basically start taking a look at this, and I'm still waking up, so apologies if I'm a bit slow. I was kind of sick like over the weekend, and I'm like still feeling very weak and recovering, so I'm out of it, to be honest. So if I'm a little slow, that's why. Especially in the mornings. Last night was easier. So okay, is this draw entity node? Yeah, it would be. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I don't really care about the pop-up thing, is row click. So in terms of like the ImGui functions, so we have so tree node with icon is basically that's the main thing I think that we're drawing. And the name here is yeah, the tag. So that's this. I'm just gonna bookmark that. And then the other thing that we seem to be drawing is, well, if you look at what uses that ID, because we did play with that as well, it's like up here, and it's this button behavior that is supposed to work for whether or not the row is clicked. And that's just so that we can, I guess, click on this like it's a button. I don't know why it's done this way exactly. It's just kind of like, also, I'm not about to rewrite, you know, all of this. Hello, Cherno, how's your baby doing? Baby's doing well. Well, the youngest child's first birthday is actually tomorrow, so graduating almost from baby to toddler, I guess, which is, time flies, man. But anyway, so, I'm not about to rewrite all of this because that would be a decent effort for no reason, probably, because it works and it's fine. But, well, I mean, it doesn't work now with the new system, but we've got to investigate that. But basically, because I don't know, like, I don't know why this wasn't, say, like an ImGui selectable or something, why it's specifically written this way. I'm sure that existed back then, so I'm not really sure why that is, but basically button behavior. The thing is, I was not under the impression that this actually like drew anything, but if we like, let's just mark this as false, which will probably mean that we can't select anything. Because I tried adding this, which was basically just, you know, modifying the string ID specifically for that, and then that broke everything basically. Yeah, so we can't select anything now, but you can see it doesn't, ImGui doesn't tell us this message anymore. Okay, so we can't select stuff. We can still click on this though to expand it. But yeah, you can see that we don't have that going on. So why does it need the same ID though? Like, I assumed that it was because it was a button. Like, I don't really know what this button behavior, because this is inside an ImGui internal. I'm not exactly sure what, like, if this is supposed to, I guess, let's have a look at where this function is called, I think, from ImGui. Yeah, so you can see that, like, it's used in places that like combo boxes, inside button as well. So it basically runs the button logic code. And you can see that it always, like, it takes in the ID of the current tree node kind of thing. So why that, like, that almost seems expected, right? The comment on the function describes your issue, does it? Where somewhere here? Ah, this. No, but that's a bit different, isn't it? Well, that's when using multiple overlaid button behavior with same ID and different mouse buttons. So that's not what I'm doing. There's only one of these, but then after that, there's a, like after one of these, there's something else that uses the same ID. So I don't think it's the same thing. But yeah, it's close. Still a good catch. I didn't notice that. But I don't know. I wonder if it's just like fine. Like maybe I should just disable that feature for just this block of code. Because obviously it still works. So I'm just wondering if, I mean, we could also see, so the way that it works, right? That whole multiple ID thing. We could also just go through how it works, because there might be a specific reason why it's not working. Like as in why it's triggering. It might not be what we think it is. But it is just weird because again, I feel like, I just wouldn't have thought that button behavior would have triggered it, because button behavior doesn't draw anything. Like, I thought that it had to use this ID, you know? Like, if I give it a different ID, it doesn't actually work. Different ID. But then again, why wouldn't it work for a different ID though? Like, is it supposed to reference something that already exists or something? Yeah, because see, now it doesn't work. It doesn't give me the error either, but it doesn't work. So it clearly specifically needs this ID. And see, now it works. Like, we see the highlight properly and we can select stuff. Maybe we can look at this as well. Well, this isn't like the issue though, obviously. Like, I know all of this. The issue is that, again, I think we have to just disable this. For this scope. Just because, I don't know, it's very weird. Maybe they didn't expect us to use it this way, but they literally have to have the same ID, otherwise it doesn't work. But also, I just don't understand why button behavior would trigger that. So, here's another thing that we can do, right? We can, so two visible items with conflicting ID, visible items with conflicting ID. So this happens if debug draw ID conflicts count. If ID conflicts doesn't equal 0, basically, then it sets the count to what? To the hovered ID previous frame item count. Can't put a breakpoint in here, unfortunately. And then it says that we've got this. And debug draw ID conflicts is an ImGui ID, which is set when we detect multiple items with the same identifier. So this must be being set somewhere. It's probably set everywhere. Well, no, actually. So how does this get set? It's set in new frame to hovered ID previous frame if we have config, if that's turned on, I guess, and then we have hovered ID previous frame item count. Hovered ID, what is all this stuff? Item count ++ on item hoverable. Detect ID conflicts. Oh, here we go. So item flags allow duplicate ID. So maybe we just need to set this. That's probably it, I guess. We probably just need to enable somehow. But how do we set the item flags exactly? Because this needs button flags. Shouldn't item flags, or maybe we need to push item flags or something? Because see, button behavior calls it with item flags. And item flags it gets from... Right, yeah, so you do push that. It's either the last item data item flags or it's G current item flags. So... and then I'm guessing there's a function to set the... where does that happen? Yeah, so push, I guess, item flag is probably what I want to do. Yeah, so allow duplicate ID. And then we'll do... I guess I'll do it kind of with this clip rect. So let's see if that fixes it. That's weird. How many languages do I speak? Like 2.5 probably. English, Russian, and German. German like used to be decently, now it's probably a bit worse, but I used to go to school in Germany, so there we go, that fixed it. So basically, yeah, I think it's fine for this to have a duplicate ID. That's the whole point. I think it's just needs to be specified that that is an exception. And so now we need to do the same thing with the content browser panel, which I think also will use this. Actually, one cool thing, greetings from Germany, greetings to you too. So I think we can use the item picker over here just to get to that a bit quicker. So render directory hierarchy, which is here. So I'm guessing, so here we have a item hoverable, and you can see it's using the last item ID flag. So this actually might be because of this rather than that other thing. But I don't know, like maybe for item flags, well, we could OR in that, but I don't know if last item flag is actually correct here. So, but let's try that and we'll see. Sleepy Zeros, thank you for the sub, appreciate the support. Okay, yeah, that fixes it. Okay, cool. So there we go. So now the priority is to fix this weirdo panel. So I was, well, switch to another desktop. I was telling Stream about this yesterday. So basically, we have a really weird situation. This happened before we updated ImGui as well, where the first panel that is a viewport. So in this case, it's this content browser, right? The first panel that is a viewport, basically, oh yeah, and we have other weird errors where this text isn't rendering for some weird reason, so we'll have to have a look at that as well. That's like the only thing I've noticed that's not rendering correctly in the UI. And then there's some other things, like these icons look like maybe they're using the wrong filtering. But anyway, the first panel, whatever it is, it happens to be the content browser panel. You can see I can't actually move it, so I'm like trying to click and drag it. I can't move it. It also moves with what looks like the main window, but is actually the viewport. So if I pull out the viewport, Let me just move Hazel over here. If I pull out the viewport, you can see it's kind of like attached to the viewport for some reason. And then if I actually, like, for example, I can't do it now because the menu bar, let's fix the menu bar first, then we'll work at this. But basically, if I hide, because the content browser panel, you can just hide it, you know, you can close it. Oh, there we go, I can close it by pressing the X button. You can see now it's the scene hierarchy that it happens to. So it's like it pulls out that panel, it's like, nah, it has to be there. And I can't dock it anywhere, I can't move it, it won't let me move it. Whereas if I have any other panel, like properties, of course, I can move that around everywhere. So it just seems to happen to the first kind of panel that's a viewport thing. Oh, resizing it is really weird, look at that. Resizing it by the up button resizes it in like both dimensions. But sorry, resizing it by the up edge is what I meant. Oh, that's really weird. The resizing it this way like works fine, and I just can't like move it. So it's very bizarre. I don't know why. And that just seemed to happen when we switch to the new renderer. Great, now I'm stuck this way. All right, so let's figure out why on earth the menu bar's not working. I probably want that item picker. How do I summon the item picker? Update debug tool item picker. Start with debug start item picker. I guess I can just make a button that triggers that. I don't know why that menu bar isn't working though. Let me see if I can find, yeah, draw menu bar. Because so the menu bar stopped working. It worked with the new renderer, but it stopped working with the new ImGui version. So that's interesting. But I wonder if I can just chuck in a button somewhere here. I don't know if this will work, like if this is a fine place to put a button. It should put it like somewhere around the menu bar. Okay, put it right here, and I can't click on it. I can't click on anything up here, but hovering over it works. Okay, let me put it into a different spot. Where should I put it? Maybe I should just put it into the properties panel. Just because that happens to be there. Because it doesn't matter at all where I put it. So the properties panel is in the scene hierarchy. Panel.cpp file. Thoughts on making templates for some ImGui dynamic creator panels and UI items, and maybe API use for developers who wish to add custom UI panels or... Oh, you mean like to Hazel specifically? Yeah, we wanted to have like some kind of scriptable way. Okay, there we go. So we can pick on this stuff if we want, which is nice. Okay, so yeah, so begin menu and then it's like view and stuff. So why can I not click on this stuff? I wonder. I wonder if it's the same reason why that other thing doesn't work. But yeah, if you're talking about like, yeah, extending that to Hazel, like I think it's just not a huge priority. I think that if people really want to extend the ImGui or like, you know, create custom UI panels or whatever else, I think like we try and make Hazel in a way that developers would be, I guess, comfortable. Again, I'm not saying it's at this spot right now, but the goal is to, and the philosophy is to make Hazel in a way that developers would be comfortable just opening up the C++ code and doing it there, because that way obviously you get full control. Of course you could say it's not as easy for some things maybe, and like the iteration time might not be as quick, but Hazel is obviously much more lightweight than something like Unity or Unreal Engine. So you can see even me iterating now through ImGui. Like I'm working on ImGui stuff right now, and sure, it's not as good as if it was persistently running and I was reloading C# scripts, but it's still fairly fast to like iterate over. But that way you get obviously full control over everything because you're right there in the C++ code. And also we require zero effort and overhead and maintenance and all of that stuff, like by setting up like a whole plugin system, you know what I mean? Because that's the other thing, like Unity, one of the reasons why Unity is so slow every time you modify like C# and then you alt tab back and it has to recompile everything and go through everything is because a lot of that C# can affect the editor. And so it has to basically reload all the editor modules and everything. Well, I don't know again to what extent it does that, but it clearly does that to some extent, right? So that's also something where it's like, if we don't have this feature, if you can just go into C++, then it's like, to me, that's almost a benefit because, you know, if the C++ is easy enough for you to do that comfortably without too much experience, then that's a win. But also we don't have to waste time writing that system and maintaining it, and it's not going to bloat the engine more and complicate things for the engine more. So it's almost like just a win for everyone. The only downside is the little bit of like faster iteration, and maybe for people who are comfortable with C# but might not be with C++, I could see how that's an issue. But we want to like, Hazel is made in a way where like, it's in my opinion, and I guess the way I intend for it to be used is within Visual Studio like I am right now. Like, yes, obviously we're working towards a free release that is binary only, and you can definitely use it that way, but that's like the almost like the light version of Hazel. Obviously all the features are there, minus you being able to modify and extend it yourself. And that's, I think, that's the pro version of Hazel, right? Like that's the, if you want to go the next step for Hazel, it's not like you get more features like, oh, there's a particle system now. It's like, oh, you have all the source code, you have it in Visual Studio, you can do whatever you want with it. That's like the premium version of Hazel, you know? And the free version is just the compiled binary of like the version that we've made. That's like the vanilla version, you know what I mean? So again, because the developer experience in my mind is within Visual Studio and everything, you're already in that environment where like you can control everything, you can add panels, you can have your own fork of Hazel that does whatever, you know, has any extras or whatever. And we want to make the API as simple as possible for it to just, you know, for you just to be able to, yeah, easily add stuff and modify stuff and strip stuff out if you don't need it, you know, that kind of thing. So, and really customize it to your workflow, because that's one thing that engines don't do right now, I think, is that, and one of the reasons why I wanted to make an engine as well for my workflow is I wanted to basically control the workflow and have a little bit more input as to the way the engine works for me. Like I want to be able to design the actual workflow of the engine around my personal workflow that I would want, you know? And so we basically want developers to be able to do that. Whereas you know, with Unreal Engine or Unity, you're not really going to go in there and start stripping or changing major ways that the engine works, but you can kind of do that, again, depending on your scope and scale of your project and, you know, what your needs are. But if you had like a little development team, you could absolutely go in there and change probably a decent amount of how Hazel works within a manageable time frame to have it work, you know, the way that you want it to work. And I think that's also what makes Hazel a bit unique, because even though Godot is like open source, I don't know, I don't think, I mean, I don't really like the way that their source code is written, to be honest, but like, I don't think it's as approachable as Hazel. Obviously it's hard for me to tell because I wrote Hazel mostly, so I know how it works better, but yeah. I think it's important to note that the paid version of Hazel is not a do my own bug fixes license. You mean like as in because here's the source code, fix everything yourself to the user? I mean, they, you know, it can be a do your own bug fixes license. We still like support obviously that, like the main version, but yeah. Am I planning to make a Cherno Reacts video about the Witcher 4 trailer? I was gonna wait for gameplay. Okay, so yeah, so why the heck can I not click on this? And then there's our favorite button behavior function being called again. So yeah, we're trying to draw a menu bar, but then I guess this never, well, actually we don't, like, I'm guessing this just never hits, as opposed to, yeah. It's absolutely bizarre to me why that happens. Because, yeah, I don't know, that's very, very, very strange. Menu is open, so I'm guessing, I mean, this doesn't even work. I don't know if, might have to go to debug, build, because this is going to be probably not very good. So pressed, so selectable. So I'm guessing this is probably always, yeah, we're gonna have to probably go to, I'm guessing it's gonna be in here. I just want to know why it's not, well, actually, I don't know if it's specifically here, but it seems to be because it's got pressed here. And pressed is probably what we return, right? Or we return menu is open, actually.